Hi guys, so this is going to be my second vlog, and I'm going to be talking about the movie Freaks, which is an American pre-code horror film made in 1932. The movie has been standing by itself as a subgenre on its own. I had to actually look up the term pre-code because I didn't know what it meant. So it refers to the era in the film industry between the sound and pictures in 1929 and censorship guidelines known as the Hays Code, which we learned about in class in the mid 1930s. And the original version of the film is actually 90 minutes, but scenes were cut out, so it's only now seen to be 64 minutes. Unfortunately, the original movie does not exist. So the movie was directed and produced by Todd Browning, who was fascinated by the circus and carnival life. He actually started participating in shows as a performer at the age of 16. Also, the budget for this movie was around $350,000, which was really cheap. The film was based on the short story Spurs, written by Todd Robbins. In the story, the characters worked in a carnival as sideshow performers who actually had real disabilities and deformities. We have film stars such as Wallace Ford, Olga Baklanova, Layla Hyams, and Roscoe Aites, who are in the actual movie. And there were dwarf siblings, Harry and Daisy Earls. Johnny Eck had a spinal deformity that usually occurs in fetal development. And there were also conjoined twin sisters, Daisy and Violet Hilton. We also have Schlitzie. I hope I'm saying that name right. Schlitzie was a male that was born in Mexico, and then he started working as a performer and was brought into the US. He was born with microcephaly, which is a neurodevelopmental disorder that left him with a small brain, skull, and small figure. And if you guys ever watched the season Freak Show from American Horror Story, Schlitzie actually reminded me of the character from Freak Show and American Horror Story. It's just a little side note, but there was also a bearded lady and the stork woman. The stork woman had a large nose and thin figure. There was also Frances O'Connor, who performs activity with her feet instead of her arms, because she didn't have any arms, obviously. The film is mainly about a trapeze artist named Cleopatra who seduces and marries a midget named Hans. By the way, Hans looks like a child, even though I know he's a midget, but he doesn't look like an adult. He looks more like a child. But that's beside the point. She marries him only because she knows that he has a large inheritance. Cleopatra gets the circus strongman Hercules to kill Hans and get his money. She tries to poison Hans's wine at the wedding reception, but the other freaks start announcing that they accept her, even though she's a normal outsider. And they pass around this like loving cup and chant, "We accept her, we accept her." She's pretty drunk by then, and she gets a little scared by the whole ordeal, and she reveals that she's actually having an affair with Hercules and makes fun of all the freaks. Hans realizes that he's being humiliated, and Cleopatra tries to apologize, but he doesn't accept it. While he's in bed, Hans tries to pretend to apologize to Cleopatra and pretends to take the poisoned medicine that she's giving him. The entire time, he's secretly trying to get back at Cleopatra and Hercules. So the freaks actually set up this plot with Hans as well, and the freaks attack both of them during a storm. And they all have knives and guns, and Hercules is eventually chased away and killed. But as for Cleopatra, her flesh melted and her body was made to look like into a human duck. And then she was displayed with the other freaks in the circus. There was a lot of controversy with this film and had a lot of negative feedback by audiences where the movie lost around $160,000. The director Todd Browning had a difficult time finding jobs after the movie was released. Freaks was the only MGM film that was pulled from release and banned in the UK for 30 years. In the early 1960s, it was discovered again as a counterculture cult film, and throughout the 70s and 80s, the film was only shown at midnight screenings in the US. In 1994, the movie was finally preserved in the United States National Film Registry and was ranked 15th on Bravo's TV of the 100 scariest movie moments. So there are a lot of opinions toward this movie because it's actually considered a horror film, which I beg to differ in a little bit. I understand how scary it could be to see Cleopatra turning into a human duck and how gruesome that scene was and how her skin was peeling and everything. But the rest of the movie illustrates real people with real disabilities who have to adapt to society in some way. There was also questioning that if it was moral to display these people with disabilities for fun and for the public to be scared or to mock them or even to make fun of them in some way or another. So it's difficult to say what was right or wrong because most of these people had to work in the circus because it was the only way to make money and make a livelihood, because otherwise because of their disability they wouldn't be able to get a real job, and their disability was definitely exploited and mocked for sure. Overall, I really liked this movie. I thought it had great plot. I thought it really displayed the characters really well, and overall I just enjoyed it, and I hope you guys can see it and enjoy it too. So thanks so much for listening to my vlog.